go again?
Oh, no, not again.
You've seen it before, haven't you?
Dom, how long have we been doing this?
Once more unto the breach. Dear friends.
Again and again and again until we're both dead.
Hello and welcome to You've Seen It Before, movie reviews with connections in mind. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is the latest feature film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It is directed by Sam Raimi and is once again stars Benedict Cumberbatch, Rachel McAdams, Elizabeth Olsen, among others. And this film features takes place in the aftermath of Spider-Man: No Way Home, where Doctor Strange encounters a young woman who seems to have the power of traversing the multiverse, that is, breaking through one universe into another. And there's an evil force that is after her power and is up to Doctor Strange to protect this young woman and to stop this evil force from wreaking untold havoc in the multiverse. Now, this video review will contain spoilers of Doctor Strange 2, but I will be doing my spoiler-free thoughts up front, and then I'll get my letter grade, and then I'll get into spoilers. But just so you know, there will be some spoilers later on in this review. So with that being said, let's get into some spoiler-free thoughts on Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Is it a good Marvel movie? Is it a worthy sequel to Doctor Strange? Is it worth seeing in the theaters? I would say, most Marvel movies in general are always worth seeing in the theaters, and this is a Marvel movie that has had a lot of hype around it, mostly because of director Sam Raimi, who is very well known for directing his Spider-Man trilogy in the early 2000s, and having him come back into Marvel with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's a lot of hype running around this, and a lot of interest as to how dark he would go with this, because Sam Raimi is very much a horror director, very famous before doing Spider-Man for doing the Evil Dead trilogy, and this one, yes, there is quite a bit of horror elements in this movie, and for the most part, I would say they actually do work. They're not, completely like gross out horror or anything like that for the most part. But those elements are indeed there. That makes it one of the more unique films in the MCU thus far, as far on that angle. But is this a worthy sequel to Doctor Strange, the 2016 film where he debuted? I would say yes. However, this is a very different film from the first Doctor Strange movie, because really, it's crazy to think that 6 years have gone by since the original Doctor Strange came out and this one, and a lot has happened to Doctor Strange in that time. We've seen him in Avengers: Infinity War, and briefly in Endgame, and also in Spider-Man: No Way Home, and also in Thor: Ragnarok. And this film delves into the implications of all these things that he's done so far, much as like a lot of these good sequels have. Iron Man 3 dealt with the implications of what Tony Stark did in Iron Man 1 and 2 in the Avengers. Thor: Ragnarok as well dealt with the accumulation of all these things. Captain America's sequels have done that progressively, and this is no exception. Really, Doctor Strange is one of these characters that people have kind of compared him to being very much like Tony Stark, and you can kind of see that, especially in that first movie where really rich smart guy who gets injured and then gets superpowers to compensate for it. That's sort of the same situation here, where he's not quite. He's definitely grown in that time, but you get to see this growth even further in this episode. But really, the heart of this movie lies not necessarily with Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, but all the supporting characters as well. Again, I'm not going to go into spoilers as to who is here and who isn't. However, Elizabeth Olsen does show up as Wanda Maximoff and the Scarlet Witch, and this is very important. They do give you just enough in this movie to keep up with the narrative beats that are going into what's going on with Wanda and Scarlet Witch. However, if you have not seen WandaVision on Disney Plus, you are probably going to not have nearly the amount of personal weight that her storyline has that I feel like this movie needs. And I think that's kind of a negative, just because, again, we're so used to these Marvel movies, being so interconnected with each other. Like, obviously, if you're going to introduce someone to the MCU for the first time, Avengers Endgame probably is not the best movie to introduce someone to that. And similarly, I think this is another one of those movies that is very rewarding for people who have been sticking around for so long. However, I don't think this movie stands out as much on its own, and I think that's sort of a weakness of the movie as a whole. That being said, there is a lot of fun to be had with this movie. Again, with the characters that do show up, again, no spoilers, but the characters that do show up in this multiversal madness, there's a lot of fun to be had there. But I don't think they take full advantage of this multiverse concept. Again, if you've not seen Loki, the show on Disney Plus, that show also deals with the multiverse, but I feel like that takes far more advantage of this, multiversal concept and what the possibilities are that you can do instead of this that this movie doesn't. There is one brief, minute or less montage where Doctor Strange and this young woman, America Chavez, get thrown through 10 or 11 different multiverses briefly, and you see all the different kinds of multiverse universes that are there, and that's kind of fun, but that's really all we get as to the potential of awesomeness and craziness that you could have, dare I say, madness that you could have in this multiverse. And so I think that that was kind of a big missed opportunity for this movie. But overall, I don't think that really dragged it down too much. One thing what really holds this movie back, however, is that this movie's trying to juggle a lot. Between Doctor Strange's emotional journey, we have America Chavez going on, you have Wanda Maximoff's story, you got stuff going on with Wong and the other Sorcerers of Camartage, you got stuff going on with Christine, played by Rachel McAdams, and she does show up in a couple different versions because this is the multiverse. So there's that going on. You got the horror elements going on. You got the fan services going on. I feel like this is juggling a little bit too much, and and I don't think this movie juggles that quite as well as it should have. Maybe you could have picked 2 or 3 of these elements and really dived into them, and that would have made it work a little bit better. Again, maybe that's just because you're trying to chalk it up to, Multiverse of Madness, so much things going on, but that doesn't necessarily make it a great movie. So, overall, yes, Marvel fans are going to have a lot of fun with this. This is overall a pretty fun movie. Seeing this in the theater with an audience, there were moments where we all kind of reacted the same way at the same moments, and those are the kind of moments that I really enjoy going to the movie theater for these. And Marvel movies are always great for that sort of thing. Get a big audience and everyone's laughing at the same moments and reacting in the same moments. I think you'll have a good time with this. However, if you're looking for one of the great Marvel movies in this, I don't think this is it. In my personal ranking of the MCU movies, I would say this is above average just because of how unique it is. However, I would say this is probably still upper end of the middle tier of Marvel movies. So if I was going to give Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness a letter grade, I would say this is a B-, because, again, there's a lot of fun to be had. However, there's just too many things that I think, too many things that are going on at the same time that is just making this film lack a certain cohesion that I feel like that this really needed to make it launch into the upper stratosphere of Marvel movies. So those are my main thoughts, spoiler-free thoughts on Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Now let's get into some spoiler talk as to certain plot developments and character arcs that may seem familiar to you and where you may have seen them before. Now, the first thought that came to my mind with the fact that this whole plot kind of revolves around who possesses the two books, either the book of the Darkhold or the book of, I forget the name of it, but the Light book, the opposite book of that. I just couldn't help but think of The Mummy from 1999's The Mummy, the Brendan Fraser one with, you know, the Book of the Dead and the Book of the Living kind of thing going on there. So there was that. The fact that by the end, you know, Doctor Strange has to possess his own corpse or the corpse of him from another universe. Unbidden, the thought of Monkeybone came into mind when Brendan Fraser's character has to possess a corpse in the real world to go and do his, or maybe it wasn't a corpse, it was just a guy with a broken neck. He would have been a corpse, but anyways, yeah, that was kind of an interesting thought to have there as well. And also, finally, and this kind of a harken back to Sam Raimi-ness of it all, and the redesign of the Darkhold. We saw it first in WandaVision, but the fact that I'm so used to how the Darkhold looks in Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it looks very different in that series than it does here. I'm sure I'm not the only one who would point out that the way the Darkhold looks in this iteration of Marvel bears a striking resemblance to the Necronomicon from Evil Dead. I feel that may just be a coincidence, or maybe not, but what I think is less of a coincidence is the fact of Wanda's, Scarlet Witch's emotional arc is, you know, she's become the villain of this story because she's fighting so hard to get these kids of hers that were a fantasy created by her in WandaVision. However, they are real in every other multiverse, and she's trying to break the multiverse or get to them and become their mother. However, by the end, she realizes like she has that, you know, what have I done moment, and then she ends up sacrificing herself by lifting up this temple and crashing it down on top of herself to destroy the Darkhold, not only in her universe, but every other universe as well. Made me think of Spider-Man 2, actually, Doc Ock's emotional arc, where, you know, you have Doc Ock, singular focus towards his dream, and, like, his original goal was was a good one, to, you know, create a new power source to benefit all mankind. However, he becomes influenced by evil and, you know, becomes a villain because of that. And then by the end, he has this, you know, what have I done moments, and he has to, you know, he ends up ripping apart the gantry or whatever of his fusion experiment and drowning in the river, sacrificing himself because of that. He dies the hero at that point. So there's a bit of a parallel to be had there, both Sam Raimi properties. But then again, Spider-Man 2 is one of the greatest comic book movies ever, and that was Sam Raimi. But, so, yeah, I don't blame him for wanting to recreate something like that in this movie. But, really, the spoiler talk, I will say, I was trying very hard not to be spoiled by anything. I saw the first trailer, and I'm like, nope, that's it. I'm going to avoid any other marketing from here on out. And I think it worked because, yes, I knew Professor X was going to be in this. However, I didn't know that you know, Haley Atwell was going to show up as Captain Britain live in person instead of just in the What If cartoon. That was pretty awesome. And then we get to see our first on-screen iteration of Reed Richards in the MCU, as played by John Krasinski. You know, that was one of those like gasp moments in the theater, and I was like, oh, all right, cool. I just kind of wish they didn't they did more with him, but hey, there's going to be a Fantastic Four movie in a couple of years, so that's something to look forward to. Maybe John Krasinski will be Reed Richards throughout, or was that maybe it was just this one time? I don't know, but that was a fun moment. So everything in that universe was fun, and really, seeing the other heroes kind of get axed off in kind of brutal ways. I mean, kind of saw a little bit of this in Infinity War when Thanos like kind of ribbons apart Mantis and Drax. That was like. That was kind of gruesome, but no, we get to, I mean, Wanda goes all out on her attack here. Like, I mean, for heaven's sake, you know, Captain Britain gets chopped in half by her own shields, and Black Bolt gets his mouth sealed shut, and then his vocal cords blast his brain out. I mean, this is like intense for a Marvel movie, and I was like, wow, all right. You know, there's sort of a weird fascination with this, but like, oh wow, alright. Again, submitting that uniqueness of a Marvel movie. And, you know, we should see, it'd be interesting to see more of this as we go on. But, yeah, overall, those are my main thoughts on Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. What did you think of the movie? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What about my analysis? Do you agree, disagree? Did I miss anything? I probably missed something. Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate whatever audience I can get. Be sure to look for my next movie review, which will be for Top Gun Maverick, which I believe comes out May 27th. As well as coming out next week will be my review of Season 2 of Star Trek Picard, as well as Moon Knight. I always like to leave a week after the finales of the series seasons air before giving my full review of them. So look for that on my channel. And if you like this video or any other video on my channel, please give me a like, share, and especially subscribe. I'd very much appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for watching, but just remember, there is nothing new under the sun, and yes, you have seen it before.